Hello everyone, today I will talk about how to interpret and make a frequency table on ungrouped data. So basically this tutorial is just a recap of yesterday's lesson. So this is the assignment, I used the assignment. So first you have to identify the number of classes you're going to use. Now since it's an assignment, it's assigned by the teacher. So Swasin gave us the number of classes, which is 8. And that for your mini research, you can pick from 7 to 15 the number of classes in your frequency table. It all depends on your preference. But for this assignment, we will use 8 classes. So she provided us with 28 values. Now, it's better to arrange them for your ungrouped data, and overall, it's better to identify the values, but it's optional for grouped data. So as you can see, we have 28 values here. The lowest value is 14. The maximum value is 42. Now to get the range, we have to subtract the um, maximum value from the minimum value. So the maximum value is 42. The minimum value is 14. We substitute those values, we get 28. Now that's our range. Next, we find the class interval using the range over the number of classes. Now remember, the number of classes is 8. The range is 28, so 28 over 8 is 3.5. Now we have to round off the class interval, otherwise um, it needs to be a whole number so we can identify our interval in scores. So it's rounded off to 4. Now we make a frequency table. Here some people get confused on how to identify or make their class interval scores. What Mam Swasin did is to just add the class interval by the lowest value. So first we we identify the lowest value, which is 14. Now our class interval is 4. So 14 plus 4 is 18. That's the first value of your lower limit in the next class. But when talking about class intervals, there are four numbers between 14 and 17. 14, 15, 16, 17. There are four numbers in total. But if you want to make it easier, just plus 4 and you'll get the lower limit classes for your scores. So 14 plus 4 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. 22 plus 4 is 26. And so on and so forth. Now, we just tally. So this is the painstaking process, tedious, of tallying your scores. Well, arranging the scores was already tedious, but that's statistics for you. So 14 to 17, that's 1. We only have 1, etc., etc. Now we get the frequency by counting the tally. So that's our frequency right there. And if your frequency should be equal to the total frequency to n, so there are 28 values here, and when you add everything up in the frequency, it should also be equal to n, which is 28. And if it isn't, you might have tallied wrong. So to get the lower boundary, we just have to subtract the lower limit by 0.5. So that's what mom said. So 14 minus 0.5, we get 13.5, so on and so forth. Less than cumulative frequency. So basically, you just add the frequencies together. So we first have to start at the bottom. So the frequency is 1, so we have 1. Now we add it by the next class frequency, which is 4. So 1 plus 4 equals 5. 5 plus 2 is equals 7. Plus 5 is 12. Plus 4 is 16. Plus 7 is 23. Plus 4 is 27. And plus 1 is 28. Now, if your frequency is not equal to n, if your cumulative frequency is not equal to n for the highest, then you have added it wrong again. So that's your fault. Now I added I equals 4. Now here is the part where people get a bit confused, but Yeah, it's quite easy if you know the process. So we are asked to solve Q2, Q sub 2, D sub 5, and P sub 70, but I will be only going over Q2. So position of Q sub K is equal to the lower boundary plus the quantity of Kn over 4 minus the cumulative frequency for the QK class over the frequency of the QK class multiplied by the class interval. I think that was a lot to process, but I will explain each in a bit. So for Q2, we will first have to identify which class are we going to use for our formula for our position. So we have to first get the value for k times n over 4. Now if you're solving for d, for deciles, it's kn over 10 because you divide it by 10. There are 10 equal parts in a decile. There are 100 equal parts in percentile, so it would be kn over 100. But for quartiles, we divide it by 4 equal parts. So we have 4 equal parts, so that's divided by 4. So this is the formula. Q sub k is equal to k times n over 4. K is the nth quartile, where k is equal to 1, 2, or 3. So what's asked is the 2. So the second quartile, or let's say the median. So we substitute 2 there. And we have another 2 here for k and for n, which is the total frequency. And our total frequency is 28. So 2 times 28 is 56. 56 divided by 4 is 14. Now that is our frequency where we can find the median. Now, where is the class that we identify for 14? It's not here. It should be here. It should be here, right? Right. Because 14 is found here, because 13 to 16, I mean 30 to 33, there are 4 numbers found here. And so the less than cumulative frequency is added up to 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is your class, 30 to 33. The frequency is 4, the lower boundary is 29.5, and the less than cumulative frequency is 16. Now we will solve for the position of the second quartile. The lower boundary is 29.5. The total frequency is 28. The cumulative frequency before the class is 12. Because yes, this is the class, and what's before this class is here, and what's being found is the cumulative frequency, which is 12. And the frequency of the second quartile is 4. And the size of the class interval is 4 too. And k is obviously 2. But we will substitute kn over 4 with our value before, which is 14. And just substitute everything. 29.5, 14, 12 divided by 4 times 4. 14 minus 12 is 2. 2 divided by 4 is 0.5. 0.5 times 4 is 2. Also, it doesn't matter if you multiply or divide first. You can actually do 2 times 4 is equal to 8, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. You still get the same result, but I prefer to divide first, then multiply because it has a bracket. I assume that's PEMDAS parenthesis. So 29.5 plus 2 is 31.5. Now, to interpret the score, what is the second quartile? That is 50% of the data set. So therefore, 50% of the students 50% of the students got a score of less than or equal to 31.5 in their TLE test, and that's only for group data. Now, how do you interpret this the other way? Therefore, 50% of the students got a score of greater than or equal to 31.5 in their TLE test. So that's basically it, guys. If you have questions, comment down below. cringe video. Let's go. Bye bye.